Hello everybody and welcome back to the Love Wreck a Legacy Challenge. Unfortunately, it is not a warm welcome to this episode. The phone rang sharp and hollow and Toki answered with heavy breath. The news struck like a stone dropped in water, rippling through the house. Miu and Akahito were gone. For a moment, the world stood still, as though even the air itself was grieving. Toki turned to Songki, her eyes glassy and wide, and without a word, she knew. Ryu sat on the edge of her bed, hair messy from sleep, blinking in confusion as Toki's words broke the silence. When she heard, her small voice cracked, and the tears came, unstoppable. Keita, too little to fully understand, clung to Toki's leg, sensing the sadness without knowing its shape. The house was hushed as everyone got dressed, dark clothes laid out with trembling hands, and Songki buttoned his shirt slowly, pausing at the collar as if time could be stretched, as if dressing slower might delay the inevitable. And Ryu refused to let go of the little locket Miu had given her, and she gripped it tight in her palm. At the funeral, the family gathered under gray skies, their breaths visible in the cool air. Friends and families filled the space, faces long and eyes swollen. Each one came forward, laying flowers, whispering their goodbyes into the stillness. When it was Toki's turn, her hands lingered on the casket, her tears falling silently, but her heart speaking louder than the words ever could. Though it was mournful, there was small peace in the unity of it all. Each hug shared, each memory spoken, each hand held. Ryu nestled between Toki and Songki and stared into the sky as though searching for her grandparents among the clouds. The day ended quietly, heavy with grief, but softened by love. Even in their absence, Miu and Akahito's presence lingered, and the stories told, the lessons remembered, and the family who would carry their light forward. Toki's grief spilled out in the only way she knew how, through words. She sat at her desk, the clack of her keys steady and relentless, her heart poured into every sentence. What began as fragments of memory became something whole, a memoir dedicated to her mother, stitched together with love, sorrow, and gratitude. By the time the last page was finished, her hands ached, but her soul felt a little lighter. With determination in her step, she set off to publish it, a gift to the world and to Miu's memory. The publishing office smelled faintly of coffee and ink, familiar and grounding. Toki handed over her manuscript with trembling hands, and just as she turned to leave, a voice she hadn't heard in years stopped her. Mintsu, a friend from high school, the one who laughed and made her heart skip a beat. Toki froze for a moment before turning, and there he was, older now, but with the same smile that had made her cheeks warm all those years ago. They fell into conversation easily, as if no time had passed. Mintsu spoke about his work, his travels, the way his life had shifted for him. Toki shared about her family, her writing, her music, and the little pieces of her world that felt safe to give away. The more they talked, the more she remembered the flutter. That ease of being around someone who was her peer, her age, who had once seemed like the possibility of something more. For a little while, grief gave way to nostalgia, and was almost comforting. Walking home, the evening sun dipped low, casting the street in a soft gold. Toki's thoughts were heavy and tangled with memories of Mintsu's smile and the wistful what-ifs that tugged at her heart. She loved Songki and she loved her family, but she couldn't help but wonder, what might life have been if she'd chosen differently? If she had ended up with someone like Mintsu? She tucked the thought away, a quiet echo in her heart, and stepped inside her home, greeted by the warmth of her children's laughter. The day began quietly with Rio hunched over a colorful pile of cardboard, glue, and markers spread across the living room floor. Songki sat cross-legged beside her, gently guiding her little hands as they built a solar system model for school. His patience was endless, pointing out where Saturn's ring should be and laughing when Ryu insisted Jupiter needed glitter because it's the prettiest. When the project was finally complete, father and daughter admired their masterpiece with pride. For Sunki walked her to school, the two chatting and giggling all the way down the street. With Ryu at school, Toki and Sunki decide to spend some time together, heading out to GeekCon. The air buzzed with energy, cosplayers, booths, and contests everywhere. Toki cheered loudly when Sunki entered the video game challenge, arms waving as though he was competing in the Olympics. Against all odds and to his own surprise, Sunki won. He held up his virtual trophy like it was the greatest achievement of his life, and Toki couldn't stop laughing, snapping picture after picture of his triumphant grin. Back home, the house was dressed up for a cozy little gathering. Balloons, cake, and the smell of sweet frosting filled the air. It was Keita's birthday, and though the guest list was small, it was filled with love. Soda and Ruben arrived hand in hand with their daughter Mitsu. Kaori and Wolfgang walked in with Kristoff, who was bouncing around excitedly to finally see his cousin. The chatter of family filled the apartment, soft and warm like a quilt wrapped around them all. The candles on the cake flickered as everyone gathered close, clapping and singing for little Keita. She giggled, a shy smile lighting her face before she leaned forward and blew out the candles with one big puff. The room erupted in cheers, and frosting ended up smeared on her knees thanks to Kristoff's playful mischief. Laughter carried through the apartment, a kind of easy joy that made the space feel fuller than its walls could hold. As the evening wound down, Toki and Sunki shared glances of quiet contentment, watching their children surrounded by family, love, and laughter. Ryu showed off her school project proudly to her uncles. Keita hugged Mitsu tight, and the noise slowly softened into cozy goodbyes. By the time the door closed and the last guest left, the apartment was still glowing with warmth, another day woven into a tapestry of their family's story. Alrighty, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm happy to say the Love Wreck Legacy Challenge is back. I intend to post once a week, and if I end up making more videos, I might do occasionally twice a week, but that is not a promise. I am in college currently, so school can be a lot. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and have a nice night. Bye!